Alright guys, the 18th century is a brilliant time period for total war, a century of succession crises, colonial revolts, and imperial rebalancing. While Empire Total War scratched the surface of this transformative period, it never quite delivered the strategic depth, the variety of possible campaigns and start dates, or immersive detail fans really craved. Now, the Enlightenment Era Chapter Mods for Napoleon Total War aim to do just that, not only restoring this pivotal era, but completely reimagining it with a refined modern Total War framework. Following the footsteps of the acclaimed Roman, Napoleonic, Victorian era chapter mods, this project takes the NTW engine and bends it into something it was never designed to handle: the full breadth of 1700s warfare. From the muddy fields of Flanders to the snow-blasted plains of Russia, these mods capture a moment in time when Europe's old world order teetered on the edge of collapse. Now, before we dive straight in though, if you don't own Total War Napoleon, you can pick it up with a massive 81% off on Instant Gaming, a reputable game key reseller that I've been using for a little while now. They have a great roster of other games on sale as well, like Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered, Crusader Kings 3 Chapter 4, or even the entire Total War catalog, all with big discounts. So if you're thinking about buying, make sure to click the link below to get your games for cheap and support the channel at the same time. Now let's get back to the video. Starting on the campaign side of things, what truly makes this mod series stand out is its structure. Rather than a single, sprawling campaign, a super deep and complex overhaul like Dividend Impera or Medieval Kingdoms 1212 AD, the Enlightenment chapters break the century into tightly focused, historically grounded scenarios, each reflecting a specific war, diplomatic crisis, or succession conflict. The result is a modular, evolving experience that brings unprecedented depth and accuracy to 18th century warfare. The campaign experience across the Enlightenment chapters is nothing short of ambitious. Each chapter in the series acts as its own miniature Total War experience, using one of the three maps, the Grand Campaign, Italian Campaign, or Peninsular Campaign, of course, to stage a historically appropriate conflict. The first three campaigns are already complete, like I said, and fully playable, albeit with some polish and refinement that still need to be done, of course. This is still early days in the Enlightenment mods, but they're still really good fun, and we have many more campaigns in active development as well. The first campaign plunges players into the outbreak of the War of Spanish Succession in 1700, merging it with the concurrent Great Northern War to offer a truly continental scale conflict on the Grand Campaign map. This scenario sets the stage for the long century ahead: France, Austria, England, the Dutch Republic all vying for control over Spanish territory, while Sweden and Russia tear at each other in the Baltic. Shifting to the second chapter, the focus here is on the Italian front of the same war in 1701, portraying the regional skirmishes that often determined the fate of grander imperial ambitions. Here, Austrian and Bourbon-aligned forces fight across mountain passes, walled cities, and fractured Italian duchies, a campaign that rewards surgical strikes and maneuver warfare over brute force and massive armies. And the third chapter brings the fight to Spain itself, using the peninsular map to depict the chaos of 1704 in a clever retooling of Napoleon's systems. The campaign focuses on the internal Spanish struggle between supporters of the Habsburg Charles and the Bourbon Philip, turning Spain into a war-torn chessboard of allegiances and regional powers. All three of these campaigns are super fun to get into, and this is only the beginning. Future campaigns will include the War of the Quadruple Alliance and the continuation of the Great Northern War in 1717, followed by the Polish War of Succession in the early 1730s, and then the much larger Austrian War of Succession a decade later. The modder Redhornet is also building a dedicated 7 years war campaign, which I cannot wait to get my hands into, for 1756, often seen as the first truly global conflict, which will make use of the full Grand Campaign map. Perhaps most intriguing of all is a planned campaign for the American Revolutionary War in 1778. Using Napoleon's Grand Campaign map to simulate this transatlantic conflict may seem a little bit odd at first. I'm not sure how this is going to go just yet, but perhaps, with clever design tools, potentially campaign map modding, it could open up for a new type of gameplay, one where European powers must stretch their resources to support a far-flung rebellion. And the final planned chapter combines the late century Russo-Austrian Ottoman Wars with the French Revolution of 1787, closing the Enlightenment Era series on the brink of global upheaval. And just to be clear, these campaigns aren't just cosmetic reskins. Faction diplomacy has been overhauled to better reflect neutrality and alliance patterns of the era. Savoy and Portugal now begin as neutral parties, avoiding the early game entanglements. Starting dates and army placements have been adjusted to match historical records. Even regional AI issues like Westphalia and Venice freezing or misbehaving have been fixed. It's a superbly rich experience grounded in the subtle interplay of 18th century politics. Now, on the battle side of things, to bring all of this kind of 1700s geopolitics and warfare to life, the modder has transformed the gameplay, aligning it much more closely with the tactics, technologies, and philosophies of the time. Unlike Napoleon's wars, the early to mid-1700s did not yet see the dominance of flexible core tactics or massed artillery bombardments. Instead, cavalry still plays a very central role. Infantry relied heavily on volley fire and cold steel, and generals often made or broke their fortunes in hand-to-hand melees rather than prolonged long-distance engagements and artillery exchanges. One major change to note here is the removal of howitzers from the battlefield, bringing artillery overall more in line with the direct fire capabilities of the period. Cavalry units have been rebalanced and visually updated, with improved belt textures, accurate gloves, the removal of impractical baggage models that previously cluttered their appearance. Meanwhile, infantry receives new line formations with spacing designed to reduce clipping while allowing for denser volleys and smoother movement, all of which definitely makes for a more immersive and engaging battle. Finally, visually, the battlefield is being steadily overhauled to reflect the elegance and uniformity of 18th century military design as well. Textures have been corrected for hair, belts, stockings, gear, you name it. Unique animations are being implemented as well, including historically accurate musket reload stances and guard poses. And I have to say, these are areas that a lot of mods are not able really to touch across Total War games. Rarely do you see mods that are really able to create custom-made animations that can be implemented into Total War, so it's great to see it here. Despite all of these accomplishments, the Enlightenment mod does remain under active development. Some areas still need attention, of course. It's early days. Swedish units are still being finalized. A few infantry models lack their older standing fire animation poses. Some officer models, in fact, particularly Russian drummers and beltery colors, remain unfinished. And these are all minor details in the grand scheme, but they matter to the mod team, which is clearly aiming for nothing short of total immersion. Crashes and bugs are still possible, of course. Like any large-scale Total War mod, the Enlightenment chapters are navigating the fragile limitations of an aging engine, but the progress so far speaks volumes. The devs aren't just tweaking numbers, they're building an entirely new historical experience inside an old game's skin. So we gotta be patient, of course. Finally, it's worth noting that this mod is being developed in parallel with other chapter mod eras as well, the Napoleonic and Victorian projects namely, and the improvements made here are already being shared across these timelines. This creates a kind of cross-era ecosystem where AI, animation, and balance changes don't just improve one mod, but ripple across multiple historical experiences, multiple series, which is really cool to see. So when you see updates on one mod, you can bet that modder Redhornet is looking for ways to implement the best of these changes across the other chapter mods as well. So overall, the Enlightenment Era Chapter Mods are more than just a tribute to forgotten wars. They're a testament to what a dedicated community can accomplish with vision, historical passion, and technical skill. For players who have long craved a more authentic, strategic take on the 1700s in a way that Empire failed, I think this project delivers, not only with its intricate campaigns and rebalanced battles, but with huge promise of still what's to come. And knowing Redhornet's track record with his other era mods, Rome, Napoleon, and Victoria, I think the future is very bright here indeed. And that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, give it a like, drop any thoughts or questions in the comment section below, and let me know what you think about the Enlightenment Era Chapter mods. Subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.